All right, Coach, how excited are you to just get this thing off and running?
Well, I'm very excited, and first and foremost, I want to extend a congratulations to Grace Rayner for winning Sports Writer of the Year for the state of South Carolina. Well deserved, but very excited, first off, to have all of you here. You know, obviously it's an exciting time. Anytime a group this large of media comes to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, it's the sign of something important starting, and that's the beginning of team practice. So we're very excited to be able to get the full squad out here, get started on the process of one day at a time, trying to get our team better, letting our guys compete against each other to try to determine their roles, trying to earn the roles on a starting pitching staff that lost, you know, all of our starting pitching. And then we have a number of positions that are still up for grabs as well. So it's a time of competition. And that's the way that I look at it. It's one day at a time. Let's compete as hard as we can to try to see, you know, who's the right guys, the best 9, not necessarily the 9 best players, but the best 9 guys to help us win, put them out there on the field, but also teach these guys as much as we can in a short amount of time to prepare them for one of the best leagues in the country, which is the ACC. But we've got a very tough non-conference schedule at the beginning of the year, a number of high-quality opponents that are going to challenge our players. But we get to start those games right here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, and we play pretty well at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. So we're really excited about today and what that encompasses, and just ready to get started.
At what point would you like to have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy, midweek guy in place?
I think a lot of people put a lot of stock in that, and to be honest with you, I've went as a head coach. I'm in my 10th year. I've had a number of years where it was literally after Sunday's inter-squad, the week before you started, before we determined, okay, who's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and oftentimes that happens when you've lost some guys. You know, when some guys are trying to fight for those spots and trying to earn that right. It makes it pretty easy when you got a Barnes, a Eubanks, a Crawl, and then a 5th-year guy like a Tyler Jackson coming in, where it's pretty easy to see who's going to be the starter. So this year's a little bit different, and I'm excited about that. I really am, because I think our pitching staff will get better as the season goes. We feel good about the pool of candidates that we have in the mix to start. It's just a matter, again, of who's going to earn the right to toe the rubber on Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3.
Is this one of the best offensive clubs you've ever had coming back?
It's a good question. You know, I don't know that. I really don't. I try not to make too many predictions one way or the other, just because you really don't know. Injuries happen. It's baseball. You know, I've seen guys have incredible years one year, struggle the next. Guys that you didn't think were going to be factors, be big-time factors for you. So the unpredictability of the game is there, so you just don't know. But we, on paper, definitely have a chance to be a good offensive ball club. And it all starts with that 3-headed monster, you know, that we have in Logan Davidson, Chris Williams, and Seth Beer. You know, those 3 guys, I think any college baseball coach would sign up for those 3 bats in the lineup. They make all of us look like we're pretty good hitting coaches. So all 3 of those guys are dynamic offensive players that bring a different skill set than the other ones. You know, it all starts right there, and then we're going to build around those guys. We feel like we've got a chance to be a good offensive club.
Riley says he's open to anything, but would you like to keep him at the back end of the bullpen?
Well, we'd like to. I mean, just because you have a bona fide closer, it makes the decision pretty easy when you have a lead late in the ball game who you're going to go to if he can pitch at the back end. One of the beauties of Riley Gilliam is he has the experience of starting as well. He started a couple ball games as a freshman, so he has that experience. We started him all fall for the most part. Until the last 2 weekends of the fall, he started. So he has that experience. We could stretch him out in a starting role if needed, if we felt like we needed to do that. He's such a good athlete. I think he can make that adjustment pretty quickly. But if we can, we'd like to keep him at the back end of the game, because that's where games are won and lost, the last 9 outs of the game. So we can pitch him in the 9th inning. We've got a guy with electric stuff going out there for the final 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 outs if needed.
Got an update on Kier Meredith's health?
Yeah, we actually met with Kier today. You know, Kier's going to start swinging the bat. Dry swings now. The rehab process of swinging the bat here in a few weeks. Should be around the middle of February or so, depending on how his rehab progresses. Once he starts swinging the bat, it's about a month process to get him ready to play. So, you know, my best guess, if everything stays on track, is somewhere in the end of March to April 1, somewhere in there. We obviously hope on the optimistic side of that, maybe we can get him back a little earlier than that, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We're going to be patient with him. It's a young man that's very talented, has a bright future here in our program and beyond our program, so we want to make sure he's 100% before we run him out there playing against somebody else.
How have you seen Seth Beer emerge as a leader on this team?
Well, the one thing about Seth leads by example. You know, Seth is a young man of very high integrity. You know, integrity is what you do publicly and privately, and Seth is a prime example of how to live your life. And he, you know, he's the guy, to be honest with you. I'm so cautious of our players, making sure they shut the doors and cut everything off and clean everything up when we're leaving. And oftentimes I come from the weight room after a workout and I look down and the cage lights are on, and I'm frustrated because I'm thinking somebody left the lights on, left the cage unlocked. And I go walking down there and I can hear that ping, and it's Seth hitting by himself pretty much every day. I mean, he hits before practice, he hits during practice, he lifts weights, and then the guy goes back to the cage by himself and will crank up one of those, you know, our pitching machines and just hit by himself for who knows how long. And that's kind of who Seth is. You know, Seth's a guy that's extremely self-motivated, and he does things the right way. He leads by example. He tries to help our younger players, tries to coach our younger players, which we think is a great asset of a leader. And part of being a leader is coaching and policing the team. Seth does a fabulous job of that. We feel like they're going to make a very big impact, you know, and I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out, but you know, you got guys like here, Meredith, you got Spencer Strider. You know, Strider's got a big-time arm. He's going to be in the mix as a weekend starter. He's fighting for one of those weekend spots. Very, very talented, drafted out of high school. Sam Weatherly, Gatorade Player of the Year out of the state of Michigan, two-way player, extremely athletic, arguably the best athlete on the team. Matt Cooper. Matt Cooper's a young man out of Virginia, can catch, can play corner outfield positions, hit 350 this fall. So, you know, between those guys, and there's a number of other guys that again, I'm sure I'm missing in there, but we've got 5 or 6 freshmen that we feel like have a chance to help us. Travis Marr is a name that we need to be familiar with. He had a medical red shirt last year, had a back injury, and he's throwing the ball really well right now. I mean, he's got a chance to be a weekend starter. He's a young man that we felt really good about out of the state of Colorado that was unable to play for us last year. So, you know, this freshman group's got a chance. I think there's some guys in here that have a chance to be really good players and can contribute right away. Bryce Teodosio is another one that's a plus defensive outfielder. He's got to figure it out with the bat a little bit, but he's strong. He's got a good arm, can cover ground. He's got a chance to be special.
What about some of the guys you brought in, like Justin Hawkins?
Yeah, Hawk is, he's just, you know, a country boy with power. I mean, that's what he is. He's, you know, he's a junior college player, junior college transfer from USC Sumter, played for Tim Medlin, one of the best coaches out there. Played American Legion Baseball, was the American Legion Player of the Year. So he's extremely talented. This kid's got big-time power. He can play second base, he can play third base, he can play shortstop in a pinch. He's big, he's physical. So he's got a chance to contribute. We just got to get him more consistent. But there's no question he's got more raw power than any player out here. So when he touches the ball on the barrel, it goes a long way.
I heard he hit one that cleared the scoreboard.
He hit one over the scoreboard in a game, and the other day he hit one out of the stadium in batting practice. So, you know, I've only been here, I'm only in my 3rd year, but with the BB Corps bat, I'm yet to see one clear and leave the ballpark. And he hit one over the scoreboard in a game and hit one out of the stadium the other day. So, you know, again, he's pretty special when it comes to the power tool.
You all led the nation in strikeout to walk ratio last year. Have you got the guys with the control to close to replicating that again? Or?
Well, we certainly hope so. If we put a huge emphasis on the value of eliminating the free 90. And it's the exact opposite on offense for us. You know, we want to try to accumulate the free 90 any chance we get by the hit by pitch, the walk, reach by an error, stolen base. We try to eliminate that on the pitching side and on the defensive side, and they work together. And I think that's a big key for us is defense this year. You know, simply because we've got some guys on the starting end who don't have that experience, and they're going to make some mistakes. We got to play good defense behind them. We got to pick them up on defense. So we need to be consistent on defense. But I do think we're going to run a starting pitching staff out there that's going to pound the strike zone because it's a staple of our program. You know, the bottom line is we're going to fill up the strike zone. Those are the kind of guys that we're going to pitch. We're going to err on the side of strike throwers more so than velocity and stuff.
Logan, we all know what he did last year. Is he one of those guys that you look at the end of the year being the talk for National Player of the Year? Did he have that type of potential?
Well, I think you know, and I don't know what's out there across the country. Just, you know, what's more in our neck of the woods, but Logan Davidson's got to be one of the most talented shortstops in the country regardless of class. You know, he's a guy that's going to garner you know, that type of recognition to where he could be Team USA shortstop. He could be that kind of player. Now they got to make that decision, but I think Logan's a guy that if he continues to progress, he's going to be a top half of the first round type talent next year. So the answer is yes. You know, a switch hitter that's his size, with his glove and arm. He's a 6'5" runner. He's an above average runner who switch hits and plays shortstop. They're not falling off of trees like that. So, and he's a hard worker. So I think Logan is an All-American caliber player. He has that ability. He has that type of makeup, and it's just a matter of him putting together consistent at bats throughout the year and staying healthy. And we'll see what happens.
Accomplishment line the first 2 years here, but the postseason haven't advanced out of the regionals. Do you feel like there's a little bit of pressure on this team going to the third season to make that next step?
No, not really. I mean, and the reason is because when you start talking about things like that, I think it puts more pressure on your team. We don't talk a whole lot about outcomes. You know, we want our guys to play with no regrets. And you start looking at the outcome all the time. You start talking about getting to the super regionals and getting to Omaha. You know, you get to those places by making the most of every day and competing as hard as you can, and you got to have luck, you got to stay healthy, you got to play good baseball. So, you know, at the end of the day, we don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about those types of things. Pressure, you know, we don't worry about pressure. We worry more about just playing the game the right way and just making the most of what we can do with this team. And you know, that's really all I really worry about. Everybody knows what's on the back of our hat. Everybody knows what the expectations and the goals are and where we're trying to go. And we know every year it's a disappointment if we don't get to Omaha. I mean, that's a given. But that's not something that we talk about because, you know, if you want to be one of the final 8 teams playing at the end of the year, you got to be one of the best teams in the country. You got to execute in all phases of the game. So we're worried more about execution than we are expectations.
Early on, what are you going to be looking for from the young pitching staff? Or what kind of little tells are you going to be looking for from them?
Guys that pound the strike zone. That's really it. I'm just worried more about pitch execution right now than I am anything else because we're going to run 3 guys out there on the weekend that have 3 pitches. So the stuff's going to be there for those guys to be successful. The bottom line is they have to execute. So, you know, for me, are we throwing 60% plus strikes? You know, are we throwing a lot of strikes? If we're throwing a lot of strikes, we're going to be okay. You know, for me, that's really all that I'm going to focus on is if our guys are consistent in the strike zone. If they are, then we can adjust from there. It's hard to adjust when you don't command the baseball. So that's really it for me. We command the ball. We play good defense behind our pitching staff with the potential that we have on offense and what we feel like we can do on offense. We're going to give ourselves a chance to win ball games.
Kyle Wilkie proved more than capable last year. Is he going to be able to give Chris a break?
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. Kyle Wilkie's going to be in the mix. I know, you know, we love Chris Williams and you know, obviously we're still trying to get him healthy. He's still rehabbing his arm. He's not all the way back yet. We hope to have him ready behind the plate by opening day, but it's a process. You're talking about a shoulder surgery. If Kyle Wilkie's got to start opening day because Chris is not quite ready, Chris is going to be in the lineup, but we feel really good about Kyle Wilkie behind the plate. And he's improved so much offensively. Greg Starbuck, our hitting coach, has done a tremendous job of developing him and helping him with that process of getting better as a hitter. Had a tremendous fall for us. So we feel really good about Kyle Wilkie right now, and he's going to catch some innings for us for sure.
Where do you see Seth playing defensively most days?
Seth's going to play offense. So no, Seth's going to play. Seth will play. We're continuing to work Seth at first base, and he'll play some left field as well. So in the inter squads, we'll play him at both. We'll play him more at first base because he needs more reps at first base. He's had less time at first base than he has in the grass and in the outfield. So we're going to spend more of our time focusing on first base, but we'll also play him in left. And, you know, quite frankly, I could care less, you know, either way. You know, we just got to find somewhere to put him on the field. And he has worked so hard defensively at trying to become a better defender. It's important to him. I think he's improved dramatically. Having Ben Paulson here as an undergraduate assistant who played in the big leagues, played first base in the big leagues, has helped Seth tremendously. So we feel like he is that he's getting better and better there, and we'll see what happens by the time we get to opening day.